program and manage the resources, as well as parallelly we need to have a security aspects. Okay, so these are the common facts we have seen. Let us go straight away into the uh, program management. So as we discussed earlier, the program management, if you want to do, we need to have schedulers. So this schedulers will able to manage the show. So what does scheduling mean? Let us say you have a timetable. So as per the timetable, you'll have the classes, or else you have the schedule. It's also called timetable. Is also called as schedule. We are using the access as time, but whereas we do not know what time what programs will come to execute. Let us say now immediately the Teams has opened, PowerPoint is open, right? So charger is connected. Like that, different programs has to run. When the charger is connected, the display has to change. Charger is removed, display has to change. So each and every task when you are trying to do, the program is different for that, or the schedule is different for it. So which one to do first, which one to do next, we cannot prioritize so easily. So this operating system has to do that prioritization based on scheduling. So if you see the diagram here, when we are appending the new program, okay, which means uh, it can be n number of programs, one, two, three, four, five, depending on the time. You are connecting very fastly. You are connecting the charger, you are connecting USB cable, all that external IO devices you are connecting, and internally inside the computer, a lot of process is running up. So like new program
No,
has came in the picture.
not audible, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Right. So you can see here there is something called new program. Let us think like this block is new program. Okay. And there are n number of blocks. So each block will be scheduled. Let us say you're going to take so much time. For each program, it will calculate how much time it is going to take and where it has to get executed. All that it will make the pre-processing and keep the program ready. And then the program is being accessed by the CPU based on which program you are selecting, that will be accessed by CPU. And then the CPU will make sure that the program is going to get completed. If sometimes, if sometimes we are not able to access some programs, let us say now the Teams has got closed by itself automatically. So which means, so what is the meaning of that? It has got preempted. It is not completed and it is not terminated. And what is the status of that? We do not know. In that case, that preempted corresponding program can be accessed by the CPU without the scheduler and can able to do the task by itself. So that's the whole idea. What is the process happening in the program management? For that, we need two things. So here to schedule this, we need scheduler, and to do this process, we need preemption. So these are the two things what are involved in program management. The first one is what? Scheduler. So we need a scheduler to make sure that which task has to do first, which one has to do next, and how much time it may take approximately. All that it has to schedule. And then there is something other block called as preemption. Let us see first one, scheduler. Okay. So what this, the role of scheduler is to maintain a list of programs waiting to execute. So it's like very simple, like if someone is working, let us say a general manager, it will ask his personal secretary that what is scheduled for today. Or you may ask your friends, so what is the timetable? Who is having first hour class today? You discuss, right? So as per schedule, it is on, so you will discuss. That's what. List of programs waiting to execute on the CPU. So this, the scheduler is going to maintain the list of the programs which are waiting to be executed on the CPU. And from the list, it will select one program which has to be executed. It can be based on the scheduling algorithm, shortest time first, longest time first. That's what you have seen in computer network subject. You have CNN lab also you have. In that you have different types of schedulers. For example, for an instance, shortest time first. Which program will take less time, we'll give priority for that, you execute that first. Or longest time first, which one is having longer time, we do that first. So it depends. And which one is important based on the priority, we do that first. So like that, the scheduler will pick up a program based on its priority, and it will allow the access for the CPU. So that's what the scheduler will do. It's very simple, like when you are trying to go and meet someone who is important person, and the meeting is scheduled, and they'll again tell you that 10 minutes it has postponed, 10 minutes preponed. So it is of that kind, general what we do. And next is preemption. So what does preemption do? What does the preemption do? So when there is something important than the scheduled, already it is scheduled. Now preemption. So this operating system takes away the CPU from a program after it has executed or specific period of time and gives to other program. So one some program is executing, we need to access the other program. In that case, it has to preempt that and give the access to other one. Okay. The program which is going to lose the CPU due to preemption is put back into the list of programs awaiting for execution of CPU probe. So that's what it is. It's very simple. Whenever you have an emergency, you have to quit the scheduler and do the task, and then replace that program which is left out into the stack or into the scheduling process. This is how we are going to manage the program management. Okay. So we can preempt it for short time and we can preempt it for long time. Okay. So frequent prevention is okay, fine. We can short time, it's okay. It will not make a big deal. You are trying to open one code file or something. In backend, the operating system is going to run, troubleshoot any security threats we got or any viruses we got. In the process, it is going to open a bit late. It is not given the time for the program to open the file. It has rather than given the priority for the security. So in that case, it may delay some time, but preempted for long time. When we may see something like that in operating system, two options it will generate: wait or kill. So wait means you wait some time until the process gets completed, or kill this process and open again afresh. Okay. So preemption for short time and preemption for long time. So due to the overhead in the scheduling process, the preemption of the closed process will take some more time, and that's not good sign for the operating system. It has to be in short time. Okay. And what about resource management? We know resources means what? Like input output devices are the resources which can be connected from external world or which can be inside the operating system also. You are running some application or monitor screen, keypad, the printer device, mouse you are connected, hard disk, it can be internal or external. So all these things are resources. How do we manage the resources? How do we manage the resources? So let us say resources can be memory, input output device, and so on. Okay. These resources has to be allocated and deallocated and also can be made terminated. Okay. Let us say I have run a program that USB should not be connected. Okay. Disable the connection of USB. So even though I have connected the hardware connection of USB, it will not function because it is terminated. We cannot use that. Okay. So allocating and deallocating resources is being done by using a resource table. In the resource table, what all fields are there? We'll have the fields like name, address, and its status. So let us see example of the resource table. Like resource name will be there, and resource class will be there, and the address of the resource will be there, and what is the status of it. Okay. So let us say we are connected to three printers, printer 1, 2, 3. So the class is printer. Some address they are given here for reference. Let us say one starts with printer address. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Three printers like this they are given the address. And we have allocated the resource for printer 1 and printer 2 and 3 are free. Okay. And similarly disk 1, disk 2. So we have connected one of them, both of them are allocated the resources. Priority 1 for disk 1, priority 2 for disk 2. Okay. So CD writer, it is free, it is not used. So just a reference example, how the resources are allocated during the operation of an operating system. So there are two things here. Okay, there are two strategies to use the resources. So we can do that by using partitioning approach, and we can do by using pooling based approach. So what is a pooling approach and what is partitioning approach? Let us see now. Pooling and partitioning. The first one, resource management. We are seeing about resource partitioning. This one, first one, we are trying to see now resource partitioning approach. Okay. How do we do the partition? So it will divide the resources into participants, or it will divide the resources into the partitions correspondingly. Okay. So it will have the resource table as we discussed, right? From the resource table, okay, it will do two simple things. One is which will have a less overhead and make sure that it will have lack of flexibility. So these two are the two important things what we have to maintain during resource partition. Okay. If when we do the when it took in the resource, it will have a lot of partitions. Okay. Then the OS cannot execute a program if it requires more partitions. Okay, I'll make it clear to you. When we take an operating system, it cannot able to execute a program. Okay, if the corresponding resource is executed with a lot of partitions. So we should make sure that the partitions are nominal. It's what is the meaning of that partitions mean? Like you do it at a stretch or do it in cuts and pieces. You do first half now, second half later, or you do into four different partitions, first, second, third, fourth. So like that we do it. It is your resource partitioning. Okay. For example, I want to access USB drive. Okay. Or I want to access some file. The file is accessed by some other person from the external world, and internally also we are accessing it. Then we need to do the partition of that. Give first file to one person, second file to other person, then later you swap that. So that's how we can do it. Let us see with an example further. Next is pool based approach. Okay. So pooling means what? It will like round robin or whatever way it is going to allocate the resources. It allocates the resources once it is free. It will keep checking whether it is free. Yes, no. If it is free, you give it. Not free, don't give it. Okay. So the overhead due to allocation and deallocation of resources will be requested, and based on the request, it generates the resources will be given access to the corresponding person. So it's very simple. To make it easy in these two, either you give it directly or give it cuts and pieces. So it's very simple to you to make you understand. You are asking your friend to share the textbook, or let us say better example is to share that with an uh, you are asking your assignment. What your friend is saying, once I complete the assignment, I'll give it to you. Okay, that is your pool based approach. He is not free, he will not give you. The second friend you asked, what he told, I completed module 1, you take module 1, rest I will send you later. That is resource partitioning. You have the resource, that resource is being shared, or you have only one textbook with you. You want to use, both of you have to use. What you do it, you scan that and send to your friend. He'll be using that corresponding module for time being, and you do that later on. We have a resource, you are going to share the resources. Whereas in this case, we are going to use them based on pooling. Whether it is free, you use it. If it is busy, you wait some time. So like that. Okay. So next is resource management. We have something called virtual resources. The virtual keypad and virtual uh, reality. We use that, and like that concept it is. It is what it is not there, but we feel like it is there. It's like illusion. It's not real. Okay, but still we feel like it is there. We use that resource. Okay, so this is one of the thing, resource management. And we move on to the third one, security and protection. So anyone who is going to use operating system will require security. Why we need security? Such that the illegal access will be prevented. Okay, we are going to give the protection and we are going to enhance the security. So two things are there here, security and protection. What is security? What is protection? We call someone who is waiting outside the bungalow or outside the house, you call security, but will not call as protector. What is protector? What is security? Difference of that these two. What do you mean by that? Security and protection. Security provides the access for the illegal access. Illegal access will not be done. Protection, it will do the counter threats posted by user of an operating system. So these are the two difference of security and then protection. So see an example here, security and protection. So there is some intruder here. We have the resources and we have the program. So security threats through the intruder going to access the resources. Okay. The intruder is going to access the program. So there is something like the user is having the approved entry. He is going to get the access. He is also trying to use the system. Then it will stop for everyone. You understood the difference? We have a firewall. The firewall is break. Then intruder also cannot use. He also cannot use. Okay. It means like this to make it much more simple to you. You have an ATM card. Your ATM card has been stolen. They can maximum try up to 3 attempts. When fourth attempt, even you cannot access it. Okay. For the protection purposes. So like that it is. And we need authorization and protection. So security can be given by using authorization and protection can be used by using a hardware security process. We can able to prevent these two things. So intruders are the outsiders who can cause interference. So Trojan horse, you know about Trojan horse virus, which will act like genuine, but it's not genuine. Like you create a folder name as like my folder. This Trojan horse virus also will create something called my folder, and then it will lies inside that. It looks like your own folder, but it's a virus folder. Okay, so which we cannot find. It looks like similar to your file. Whereas viruses, it's a piece of code or a malware which will not be visible, but it keeps copying every time. When you try to copy something, it will start multiplying it. So it will create a lot of duplicate data and make the original data corrupted. We cannot even able to find original one and duplicate one. Okay. So finally, we can able to do these things using three things. If you are connecting to internet, we are trying to use a firewall to give protection for it. And when you're trying to use plugging, you should use security holes for plugging in. Let us say you're connecting to Wi-Fi through hotspot. You're connecting through LAN cable, which has to be accessed through proper security channels. And using some authentication techniques like username, password, or captcha something. So all that we can able to provide security and protection. So in the next class, we'll deal with efficiency, system performance, and user service. Okay, so fine. So yeah, I'll download the attendance. Fine. Okay, as I told you already, only 60 people can be there. Okay, rest all will be for ANN. Okay. See you in the next class. Thank you. Any questions or queries you can ask me.